Hey, beautiful people. So here we are, very slowly, but maybe not, edging towards December. So I felt the nudge with a few things that have come through and a few things that have been experienced in the last 24 hours to weave a energy insight for December, which is the last energy insight of the year. And I really get the sense of we are in between time. We're in a really alchemical, fertile place for deep, deep, deep transformation. As if we are birthing into a greater, deeper version of selves. And depending where you are on your alchemical journey, that's going to feel like a birthing or as if you're absolutely being thrown into deep healing, depending where you are on your alchemical journey. Spirit have said it before, we've got this ascending timeline, we've got this descending, and the descending is descending into self, and those things that are being called into healing, those things that are being called into the light. And if you're on that ascending timeline, it's like you're being propelled um, into a higher, deeper. And when I say higher, I really want you guys to understand that it's more of an enriched, more wholesome, more truer version of self. All right, so um, don't get kind of confused by this higher or descending timeline or awareness around that. Okay, it's really important to understand that it's enriched now. So if you're in a descending timeline, it's where you're being pulled into yourself to kind of meet those parts of you that are being called into the light, being called into healing. And that, as Spirit have always said, can be a fucking messy business. So I really do feel, just feeling into, why I'm able to take these snapshots and have these awarenesses is because I'm working with so many people. I'm really honoured and gifted to work with people every day and take these journeys, and I get a real kind of sense of what is moving through the collective. It's like I'm able to kind of just drop into that collective aura and really get an understanding of what is moving through me and what is moving through the collective. And I really feel right now we are in between time. It's like the fertile soil or the alchemical pot, the cauldron. We've dropped into, love that real time nudge, we've dropped into the cauldron, okay? So from Samhain, which fits very much the metaphor of the cauldron, and it's an alchemical tool, is we've dropped into the cauldron. So we're kind of in this alchemical stage of really, really percolating, right? Really percolating, and that is running between Samhain and winter solstice. Okay, it is a really huge time. So you can feel when a moment isn't ordinary, when it's just, as a good friend of mine says, there are no ordinary moments. Okay, and that is absolutely true. It's those times when the air thickens, the light shifts, and something in you just knows that this matters. My dear friend, aka G-Man, who recently passed, would talk about flashes of light. He would talk about how during his life he experienced like flashes of physical light, which is interesting. You'll see why. Um, and that being associated with contact, but for him predominantly it would be when there was a timeline jump. And he told me about this crazy, and I mean crazy experience he had where in the morning he had experienced this physical flash of light, and that evening he received an email reply from an email he never sent that morning. Did you get that? So he received an email from a reply from an email he never sent. So there he was in that morning, he saw this flash of light. Come the evening, he received a reply from an email he had never sent. And he just absolutely was like, what the fuck? That's a timeline jump. And from that, he just knew that was what was happening, right? So whenever he saw flashes of light, that's what was happening. Crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. And I've experienced those flashes of light. Not often, but I've experienced them lately. I have. Interesting. But I've experienced those flashes of light. One time was alongside another good friend of mine, the same friend who said there's no ordinary moments. A good friend of mine, when he had not long after he had moved, and it was this huge flash, and we both experienced it. And now I look back on that and I wonder, because that was on the edge of a lot of change for him and for me. He had moved with his family up north, and I was going through a really deep transformation. Winter seems to call that in. And then yesterday I experienced one after chatting with someone. I felt I'd known her forever. And I experienced not long after that this really big flash of light. And my heart tells me that people are being placed exactly where they need to be for the highest timelines to unfold. These are monumental times, and that can also be fucking raw and rupturing as well, and also it can be like just completely expansive. All right, again, it is all around where you are within your alchemical journey. But remember, as Spirit have always said, rupture will always lead to breakthrough. Okay, but it can be gritty, it can be raw, and fucking painful at times. But there is also this vast, huge expansion that's going on. All right, so I do believe people are being placed exactly where they need to be for the highest timelines to unfold. These are monumental times, and the furniture of our lives continues to be arranged and rearranged so that an entirely new paradigm can click into place. Okay, think about that for a moment. So the furniture of our lives is being arranged and rearranged so that an entirely new paradigm can click into place. This is not even a new chapter, it's a whole new book. That is where we're moving into. So December feels really funky. So after I experienced that yesterday, that flash of light, later that night I was fast asleep. I mean, I was fast asleep. I was gone. I don't even know where I was. And I was in this deep sleep, and I woke up suddenly. Okay, all information is information. I was woken up suddenly, and I lay there because I know when I experience that I need to pay attention. And I was laying there, feeling into the space. And there wasn't a presence, and that surprised me. It wasn't a presence, yet I heard this really clear inner voice saying, get up, get up, get up now, go now. And I was feeling really warm and comfortable. And I was like, and the voice was so clear, go now. And on the way back, look at the clock. And it was almost like a sense of, I can't look at the clock on the way, but I can look at the clock on the way back. And I just all sprung out of bed, went to the bathroom, went for a pee, come back. And as I come back, looked at the clock, and I was like, oh my fucking God. Okay, the time was 3:13. 3:13 a.m. And if you know me, you know that I have this thing about 13. Right, so it's 3:13 and I was like, oh my God. And I just knew my dear friend again was behind that, because he was seeing so many numbers. He was going through a really big, not easy time in his life, and he was saying to me, since that happened, he was seeing lots of numbers. But also it was like, it felt like a validation to trust those deep voices within inside of us, and it was so powerful. So I look back at that clock from a reluctant visit to the bathroom. I gazed at the clock and I was like, oh my God, 3:13, what the fuck? This is one of those moments with weight, the kind your future self leans into, towards, and quietly watching to see what you choose next, how you then meet that. Because for me, that was like a complete validation of the light that I saw earlier on in the day, and so much around that. It's like there's a timeline jump. So it is, those moments have weight. It's the kind your future self leans into, quietly watching to see what you choose next. And lately, the innate has been whispering a truth that won't leave me alone. And that truth is this: only what is true can be reborn at winter solstice. It's that paradigm shift. Massively. So only what is true can be reborn at winter solstice. Only what is true do we carry forwards. Because the solstice, right, isn't about glitter. It's the deepest dark, the honest dark, the place where all illusions fall away, and they are going to. This December, there's going to be so much of that, as if Christmas itself collapses in on itself, and then what rebirths from that is something that is more wholesome, more gentle, more infused into the real spirit and magic of its essence. What is it that you remember as a child about Christmas? That's a really powerful question. Actually, I would love to know your thoughts. What is it that you remember about Christmas as a child? Love to hear your replies on that. Alright, so this winter it feels like all of that is just falling away. This wind has no energy for pretending. There you go. This winter has no energy for pretending. It only nurtures what is real. So anything in us that is built on obligation, fear, performance, the old stories, we will feel it crumble. Not as a punishment, but as a closing out of a long cycle of time. Okay, as above, so below. We are closing out a whole cycle of time, which is why Spirit talk about a paradigm shift. Clearing the false so the true has room to take its first breath. It's almost like truth is re-finding itself within the world. It's replacing itself within the world. It's taking a foothold back in the world. Alright? And as the solstice, at the solstice, the light returns, but it returns slowly, carefully, only illuminating what is authentic enough to withstand the beginning of a whole new cycle. Maybe that's why moments like this feel heavier, why decisions made in this season echo, because the winter solstice asks you to birth something from your center, not your ego. Something that has been waiting quietly for the world to be dark enough for you to finally sense it. So if this moment feels different, trust it, because it's the season of truth born in beginnings. And whatever stirs in you now is asking to be born because it is real. Life is giving us the pieces we need to exactly when we need them to make this next chapter, new book, paradigm shift possible. Forged from grace, not force. You just have to continue to notice, to receive, to step forwards in truth, faith, heart, one moment at a time. There we are, as always, sending you so much love. Keep shining.